Hello, Internet. It is I, Malik Aaron, and welcome back to Box Office Recaps. So, September 2025, man, it was a chaotic month to say the least, especially if you're living in the States. But we're not here to talk about that. We are here to talk about box office. And let me tell you, the first half of the month was crazy because it did not feel like September whatsoever. It felt like summer got extended by 2 weeks, or it felt like two missing weekends of summer that summer really needed in order to beat last year. Like, that's what it felt like. There was so much momentum. It was unbelievable. And then the second half of the month happened, and then everything just crashed. And, well, it just turned into your usual September blehness. But yeah, there's a lot to talk about here. And as usual, I'm going to, compare my own personal predictions to what actually happened. And let's get to it. So, September 5th, that's where we're going to start. First, Breakfast Club re-release. I'll go over this quickly. I predicted an opening weekend of like 500K, a final total of like a million, something like that. And let me see here. Well, it opened with under 500K, 334K. I don't know how long it was in apparently like a week. That's what it looks like. I don't know. It doesn't matter. I didn't expect it to make a whole lot of money anyway. No, Conjuring Last Rites. Okay, this is where the craziness starts. Now, with this movie, weeks before I made my video, I was like, okay, this movie might do all right. It's being like built up as like the last Conjuring movie, even though that's technically not true. So they're literally pulling a Marvel, like what they did with Avengers Endgame that did here. So I'm like, okay, it'll do better than some of the other Conjuring movies. It might open better, but probably open between like 40, 50 million. Then I saw its preview numbers. I'm like, okay, maybe my predictions were too small. Then like its pre-weekend numbers, like its projections, was like 60 plus. And I was like, okay, this is not going the way I thought it would. This movie has unexpected momentum. So I ended up predicting an opening weekend of like 65 to 75 million and a final total between 150 and 180. And this movie opened with 84 million, and I was stunned. I was floored by this result. I never would have guessed Conjuring movie, let alone like how many are there? I don't even know. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The 10th movie in this series. That's less than more than a decade. To have the third biggest debut ever for a horror movie. The only movies that open higher than this are the It movies. Like, I never would have guessed that. Never. It was never in like the realm of possibility in my head. And like domestically, I mean, actually, opening weekend, look at this: 41, 37, 40, 35, 53, 26, 20, 24, 32, 84. That's such a huge jump from The Nun. The fact that The Nun was even had the biggest opening out of all these movies for the longest time, that makes no sense. Like, nothing about this makes sense. It's so illogical. And there's domestic numbers. As you can see here, it crushed the others. Worldwide, same thing. I mean, look at that. 473 million. That's exceptionally high for a horror movie. I think the only horror movie I can think of that's done better is the first It movie. I don't think It Chapter 2 made as much. Maybe. I'm going to check just to be accurate. Might take some time. Okay. 2019. It Chapter 2. Okay, it made about the same amount. It'll ultimately do better. So, yeah, this crazy numbers. Just absolutely crazy numbers. And I'm just thinking, like, where are all these people coming from? Like, they weren't. It's like every Conjuring fan, every lapsed fan decided to just rush to the theater to watch this in a way that's just It literally is. This was the Avengers Endgame of horror. That's what this was. So yeah, but and for Warner Brothers, like it's like another feather in their cap in their incredible 2025. I mean, from the Minecraft movie, The Sinners, Final Destination Bloodlines, F1, Superman, Weapons, this. They had an unprecedented run. All those movies opened over 40 million, like consecutively, like 7 movies. No studio has ever done that before. None of them. Not even Disney at like the height of their box office power has been able to do that. So yeah. And like at that with the success of this, it didn't matter how well or how poor like their other September movie, one battle for another, did because they had this. They had all their other success stories. So yeah, like they had a hell of a year. You definitely say that. It didn't even matter that this movie's legs were poor because it made so much opening weekend that it literally didn't matter. It didn't matter one bit. So it literally dropped off like 69%. Did nothing to stop its success. So yeah. And with this movie, it made people go like after like a dreadful like late August period where it's just nothing but bad news pretty much. This is what the box office needed, like a massive, like a shot in the arm, shot of adrenaline. And people are just like, okay, 2025 still has something. There's something left. And when it comes to the horror, I mean, Warner Brothers, they were like 4 and 4. As I mentioned, Sinners, Final Destination Bloodlines, Weapons, Conjuring Last Rites, they all crushed it. So, yeah, I mean, Conjuring Last Rites, not much else to say. It was a massive success. It was stupidly successful. So, I guess congratulations. It was the big movie of September, at least domestically. Yeah, domestically. But moving on, we have the Hamilton theatrical release. So this was supposed to be a theatrical release like back in I think 2020, 2021. That's how long ago that was. But then Disney decided to put it on Disney Plus. And then like this year, because it was like the 10th anniversary of the Broadway show, they were like, you know what? Let's put this in theaters. Let's make it like a quick buck. And that's what they did. And I predicted an opening weekend of like 6 to 8 million. Found sold like 15 million, something like that. Opened with 10 million, which I thought was really impressive. I was like, wow, okay. And then its legs were just brutal, as you can see here, which isn't too much of a surprise because this is very much like a fan only type thing. Just like a number of September movies were like fan only type events. It was like a interesting theme of September. But yeah, it ended up making 16 million. I guess for what it was, did all right. It's solid business. So yeah. Makes you wonder like what would have happened if they released it theatrically like when they were supposed to, right? Could they have made more money? Who knows? We don't live in that reality. So yeah. Next we have Light of the World because, the 2D Jesus animated movie because apparently we needed another one of these things. There's just not enough Jesus movies this year, despite the fact that we had another animated Jesus movie in the form of King of Kings, and then all those chosen theatrical releases. I know that's a show, but still got theatrical releases. And then there's like another Jesus movie that came out before, but no one remembers that. But they said, no, we need another one. And so here it is. So I predicted an opening weekend of like 1 to 2 million, found sold by 3 to 4, and it opened with 2.4 million. Its legs were predictably not great, didn't last very long. Ended up making like 5 million. Granted, on a budget of 20 million, that's not very good. But considering this is like from like a no-name distributor, it could be worse. Could be a lot worse. So yeah. Then we got Splitsville. I predicted an open weekend of like $1 million. Found sold like less than 2 million. And would you know it? That's exactly, well, it opened below a million. 800K crashed and burned right after that. Didn't make 2 million. I wasn't surprised about this. I mean, I figured it wasn't gonna have like an audience like in theaters. It might have an audience like when it hits like, I'm pretty sure it's already hit like PVOD. Might find an audience there. But considering like with this being like one of those, limited release, like limited run and then it goes wide. When was the last time we had one of those that's been like really successful? Because I feel like the last one we had was 1917, and that was pre-COVID. So will that ever happen again? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe that's just dead. I don't know. But yeah, the Splitsville not having much of an audience, that doesn't surprise me. So that was the beginning of September. That was the start. They have September 12th. Things got even more crazy with Demon Slayer, the movie Infinity Castle. So Demon Slayer, okay. Now I know Demon Slayer is like a very popular manga slash anime. I know that. I mean, I knew that like years ago with the first, well, not technically. Well, there was like those, like these two in 2023 and 2024, but those are just like episode like like they just took some episodes, smashed them together, and just released them in theaters. The last real Demon Slayer movie had was Mugen Train, which was back in 2020 and 2021, because it was in 2020 in Japan, 2021 in the States. So this movie right here was an insane success in Japan, became Japan's biggest hit. This is all despite being in 2020, the worst year in the history of movies, for obvious reasons. So it did insanely well in Japan, came to the States in April 2021, and despite the box office being just a piss poor state at that time because of COVID, people still rushed out the theater to see it. Opened with 21 million, and people were just like, wow, that's really good. That's insanely impressive for an anime movie. And then ended up making 50 million here, which doesn't seem like a lot, but for anime standards, it's really, really good. I mean, that's better than what like the Dragon Ball movies made in the States. So this was seen as like a massive success. So with like Infinity Castle, I was thinking, okay, it might do like a little better, maybe. I don't know about how much better, but I knew it would be like there'd be an increase. Then I read about like its advanced ticket sales doing really well. I was like, okay, we might have something here. It might, maybe make like 30, 40 million, maybe. That's like the high end. And then just the hype for this thing just kept building and building, especially after it opened early internationally in Japan, where it crushed it again. And then domestically, it just like hype kept building and building, and then by like damn near opening day, it reached like a fever pitch. And then, which shows like with its preview numbers, which is 11.4 million, which is one of the best results for the whole year. And I was like, wow, okay, shit, we September has like another like blockbuster on its hands. So I end up, and then like opening weekend numbers like really fluctuating because anime movies are notoriously front loaded. So I ended up going with 50 to 60 million opening weekend and a final total of like less than 100 million. I didn't think it would hit triple digits here, but as you can see, I was very wrong. This ended up opening with 70 million, which just destroys any and all anime records that exist. And even just in general, like, for September standards, it's great. For like animated movie standards, it's great. For Sony, it's insane for them because 2025 has not been a great year for Sony. They've had, a whole lot of nothing happened. Their biggest movie before this was 28 Years Later, and it only made like 70 million total. This opened with 70 million. I mean, this made like more than 3 times the amount of Mugen Train. I mean, it made more 3 days than Mugen Train made total. And the thing is, it's opening weekend. You think it would have crashed like 50% plus second day. No, it only dropped like 34%, which is pretty normal for blockbuster standards. So, yeah, it shows that it wasn't just like 100% fans. There was a bit of a crossover appeal, at least for opening weekend. As you can see here, it crashed after that, which is typical for an anime movie, but it made over 100 million. First time that has ever happened with an anime movie. Not even the Pokemon movies back in the day. That was the height of Pokemon's popularity. They weren't able to pull that off, but Demon Slayer did. So, yeah. And now it's made 129 million domestically, 500 million internationally, 637 million worldwide. Biggest ever for an anime movie, crushing its predecessor. And I believe it's, I forgot like what, I think it's like one of the highest grossing, like, I guess, 2D anime movies out there. So, yeah, insane success. We'll never guess this. No, no, like, it's just, words can't really describe this. They can't really describe this. I mean, you can use a lot of words: insane, incredible, spectacular, unexpected, shocking, a lot of words. But yeah, of all the movies I thought would make 100 million domestically this year, this was not one of them. I never would have pegged this as one of those movies. But that's what happened. And when I saw like last Long Walk, there was just a flood of people in the movie theater. There's so many people. I'm just like, this is September. This is not how this is supposed to function. Like, because obviously they were all there for Demon Slayer. So, yeah. So Demon Slayer, I'd say of all the 2025 movies, this is probably the most like the most spectacular success when you really think about it. Because sure, we've had plenty of success stories in 2025. Minecraft movie, the Lilo and Stitch remake, F1, a lot of Warner Brothers movies, Sinners and Weapons and several others. But this is like the most unexpected success in my eyes. So good on you, Demon Slayer, for making 2025, a lot more interesting and a lot more exciting. Now we move on to Downton Abbey, the grand finale. I predicted an opening weekend of like 19 million and a final total like between 50 and 60 million. Well, up with 18 million. So I was close. This movie was a lot more this was more front loaded than, at least opening weekend wise, to Demon Slayer, which I thought was shocking. It fell 40%, which shows you that this is very much fan driven. And then after that, its legs are kind of not great. Now it's made 44 million domestically, 94 million worldwide. That's like I think a little better than the last one, which was A New Era. No, yeah, a little. It's literally on par. The exact same amount of money, more or less. So, yeah, I mean, I guess they were probably hoping it would be more like the first Downton Abbey movie, where that was like a big old hit. But I mean, it could have been worse, I guess. I mean, at least it ended on a decent note and didn't embarrass itself out there. So, yeah. I don't know how much its budget was. I don't think it was like too expensive. I don't think. I'll check though. So let me see. Um, if this would load, okay. Downton Abbey grand finale. How did it do? Okay, it cost 50 million, so 94 million. It's not great, but I imagine it'll make its money back when it hits like PVOD. I probably has already. So I mean, these numbers, they're not amazing, but again, they could have been worse. So yeah. Now we have Long Walk. based off the Stephen King's like first novel, although he used like an alias when he wrote it. So this right here, I predicted an opening weekend of like I think it was like 13 million. I found told between like 30 to 40 million, something like that. And well, it opened with 11.7 million, which I was like, oh, okay, it's not terrible. Its legs have been really good actually. It's been holding strong, which is definitely a result of like good word of mouth. And it's now made 34 million domestically. On worldwide, it's made 46 million on a budget of 20 million. That's all right. That's decent. That's not terrible. And I saw this movie because it interested me, just like the premise and everything interested me. And this movie was really good. It's a dark movie. This is if you're looking for like a fun time at the movies, this is not it. Like you're looking for a movie with good vibes, not it. Okay, it is a bleak flick, but it is still really good. I would recommend it. And yeah, I mean, it found a bit of an audience in theaters, which is better than what it's better than like anything that happened like late August. So yeah, did all right. So yeah, so far like September 12th, things are looking really good. And then you have Spinal Tap 2 and like all the good stops. So yeah, so with this, I predicted an opening weekend of like 1 to 3 million and a final total of like I think 7 million, like above or below. And this movie wishes it hit 7 million. It didn't even come close. It opened with like 1.6 million, and it just dropped off the face of the earth after that. So I guess the question is, what happened? Well, I mean, this is based off a movie that came out 41 years ago, the original Spinal Tap, and like to expect like such like a big surge like after that. I mean, like sure, we've had movies with like sequels with like super long gaps of time between like its predecessor and the follow up. Beetlejuice last year, for example. But the thing is, Beetlejuice, the original, was like a decent hit theatrically. Then it grew like a big cult audience after that. So there was like so by the time you actually got the sequel, there was like pent up demand. And the same goes for like say Top Gun Maverick. The original Top Gun was a classic 80s movie. And then the sequel, there was like pent up demand and it ended up being a insane success. This was never going to be that. No. Spinal Tap was just too niche for its own good. And to expect the sequel to, go crazy, it was just foolish. Straight up foolish. And it ended up being a flop. So, yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, I'm not really surprised by this result. Because, again, Spinal Tap is just way too niche of a property for them to, like, bring it back and expect, like, a major, like, revival. So, yeah. And then finally, we have the Toy Story re-release. I predicted an opening weekend of, like, 3 million. Found to, like, 6 to 7 mil. And, well, gotta find it. Where is it? Okay. Open with 3.4 million. Its legs were predictably short because that's how it is with these re-releases. They're not there for the long run. So I guesstimate it's between 6 to 7 million, like a little under 7 million. So I was right on the money. And yeah, I mean, this is just gravy for this movie. It's not like anything serious. It's just extra money on top of the original's run. Doesn't really say much about Toy Story. I mean, I guess it's done. It did okay for what it is. Doesn't really say much about Toy Story's popularity. We'll see what happens with Toy Story 5 next year. We'll see how that does, especially what happened with Lightyear and how that turned out. So, for what this is, it did all right. So, September 12th. I think it might be on record one of the biggest weekends in the history of September in terms of total box office. Like, and people were just like, wow, this is amazing. But I knew damn well shit was going to crash. Shit was going to go downhill fast the next week. because there was no way in hell like September was going to maintain its momentum. And sure enough, I was right. Because September 19th, that whole weekend, flop. A big flop that entire weekend. So let's go over these three movies one by one. First, we have A Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey. This right here, I predicted an opening weekend of like 5 million. Final total was only 10 to 15. That was way too generous, turns out. Opened with 3.2 million in over 3,000 theaters. That is horrendous. And this is despite having Margot Robbie and Colin Farrell, two very, very recognizable people in this movie. This is like Margot Robbie's first movie since Barbie, the biggest movie of 2023, one of the biggest movies of all time. And no one gave a fuck about this thing. And its legs were just abysmal too. As you can see here, it was basically gone. A mere memory by early October. You know, only made like 6 million total. That's just embarrassing on a budget of 45 million. Absolutely embarrassing. I mean, reviews for this movie were ass. It never looked like an event. You know, I think some people like mentioned like it felt like a fake movie for like you'd see like in another like in a show or something, which is never something you want to, which is like something you do not want to be called is a fake movie. So, yeah, big old bomb right here. And it doesn't get any better because next we have Him. Now with this movie, originally I was gonna watch it because I saw the trailer and I thought the trailer looked really good. Oh, it looked really interesting. I was like, okay, so maybe I should check this out. Then reviews came in, and they were horrible. And word of mouth was horrible. And I was like, okay, you know what? Never mind. I'm staying home. That's what I did. I did not watch it. And so like opening weekend, I think I predicted between 15 to 20 million. And I final total between like 30 to 40 million. And the thing is, it seemed like it was going to hit that prediction. Like straight up, it opened with 2 million previews. Then 6.4 million. I was like, okay, it might hit 15, 16 million, but then that negative word of mouth started to hit. It spread. As you can see how it did the rest of the weekend. It just crumbled. And then its second weekend, God, 73%. And this doesn't even have the excuse of like Demon Slayer, where it's like fan fueled. It doesn't have that excuse. It's just a straight up bad movie that people wanted to avoid. And then now it's just gone. It's just a mere memory. And it's made like 24 million. And so a very front loaded run. It's made 26 million on a budget of 27 million. That's terrible. This is despite having like Jordan Peele's name to it. So I guess with Jordan Peele's name, I mean, I guess when he directs movies, people show up. When he produces, it's more of a mixed bag, to say the least. So, but I do intend to watch this movie, at least out of curiosity. Maybe when it hits Peacock, I'll watch it then. But yeah, this movie was like a big old miss from like from a critical standpoint and a box office standpoint, because I thought it would do way better than this. So, yeah. Next, we have The Senior, the other football movie that came out that weekend. This went nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. I predicted an opening weekend of like 3 to 5 million, final total like maybe 10 million. Didn't even do that. Well, boy, 2.6 million. And its legs were just non-existent. It just died. And this despite having like really good reviews. So I'm just like, what's going on? Because Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey and Him were both slammed by the masses. Okay, those movies' failures make sense. This makes less sense. So I don't know. I mean, people just didn't care. Just straight up, people did not care. And besides, with Angel Studios, this is another example of just how, they've only had like two real hits, two, serious hits. Everything else, no. Just no. They've only had two like real strong like breakout hits. Nothing else has been able to like hit the highs of like Sound of Freedom or even King of Kings. Nothing. I know they have like that David animated movie that's been married in like drama. They foolishly thought, oh, that's going to be the biggest anime movie of all time. Well, they know about Niyazia too, but I don't think that movie's going to make like a dent at the box office. I mean, I feel like with that, I mean, you have Zootopia too. You have Wicked for Good. I think families are going to go see those rather than David, but we'll see what happens with that next month. But yeah, the senior went nowhere. No one watched it. No one cared about it. And now we move on to the end of the month. I'm not going to talk about the first two movies because I didn't make prediction videos for them. The other three I will talk about. First, Gabby's Dollhouse, the movie. Okay, this I predicted an opening weekend of like, I don't know, like 13, 14, 15 million, maybe 13, 4, I don't remember, like 13 something million, and a final total of like, I think 40 to 50 million, because I saw like its cinema score being an A plus. I'm like, wow, that's incredible. Word of mouth must be so good. And it ended up opening like 13.7 million if you round it. I was like, okay, that's not bad. That's not terrible. This could go somewhere. And the second weekend happened. It fell 61%. I was like, oh, shit. What happened? That's not how this is supposed to go. But then I remembered fan fueled because Gabby's Dollhouse is, like a Netflix show that's aimed towards like, young kids, like young girls. And so naturally they see this as like a big event for like that one weekend and then just crashes after that. So, I mean, not even like Paw Patrol. Paw Patrol had better legs than this. So I don't know. It's weird. And so far it's made 27 million. And it might reach that 32 million, but it won't be like a big hit. So yeah. I mean, reviews for this weren't bad. I guess it's just one of those like fan only movies. Only fans care, and then no one else, so it had no crossover appeal. That might be what happened, but yeah, it just didn't do that great. Okay, and then we move on to the last Warner Brothers movie of 2025, One Battle After Another. Okay, this movie I knew it wasn't going to do well for the longest time. It had the chances of success were so low for this movie. And it's because of who made it. Paul Thomas Anderson. I'm not saying that as like an insult or anything. He himself, the man himself said he was box office challenged. His words. Okay? Because his box office track record, I mean, say what you want. Okay. His critical track record is incredible. He's made some banger movies. A lot of people can agree with that. But box office wise, no. He's only had like really two successful movies under his belt. The rest, flops. The only two successes he had were Boogie Nights and There Will Be Blood. Every other movie was a dud financially. Magnolia, Punch Drunk Love, Master, Inherent Vice, The Phantom Thread, Licorice Pizza. None of them did that well financially. So the fact that with One Battle After Another, Warner Brothers gave this man over $130 million, which is more than what any of his movies have made. People thought, Warner Brothers were crazy to do that. They were insane, which, fair enough. But then I watched trailers for this movie, and I was just like, wow, this movie looks really, really good, and I got excited for it. And then word of mouth came out about it, and people say, this is the best thing that's come out this year. It's incredible. It's spectacular. And all that, and I was like, okay, I really need to see this movie then. And I was like hoping, maybe some of Warner Brothers like really good luck could carry over here just a little bit, but no, unfortunately no. So I ended up predicting an opening weekend of like 21 million because that's what was projected to hit. And then its total, I thought it would open make between like 60 to 70 million, and it opened with 22 million. So I was right there. And its legs so far have been solid, really solid. So it's made 55 million total. It will hit that 60 to 70 million mark. And worldwide it's made 140 million on a budget of like 130 something million. So definitely a bomb. Straight up bomb. But there are some silver linings here. Okay. One silver lining is that this is by far and away not Wes Anderson, Jesus, Paul Thomas Anderson's biggest movie by far and away. So that's a positive for him. And another thing, so this movie I know is it's gonna make a killing during award season, especially during the Oscars. I see this bagging a ton of Oscars at this point. Granted, some movies have yet to come out that might also bag a ton of Oscars, but this feels like a big old front runner when it comes to like Oscar night, and just like award season in general. So it's got that to look forward to as well. And this movie will be remembered as a great movie. Like it won't just be like forgotten, and unloved. So, and I did watch this movie, and I thought it was really good. This movie had the best score of 2025. The score for this movie was wow. It was the best thing I heard all year. So, yeah, and just in the movie itself, really, really good. I don't know if it's like my favorite movie of 2025. I'm trying to remember like what was the best. Maybe Sinners. I don't know. I have to like look back at 2025, like the end of the year, to really like, determine what my favorite movie was. But this is definitely up there. It's a really solid movie. I would definitely recommend it. And yeah, so it was a predictable flop, but Warner Brothers has had such a good year that it literally didn't matter. This was not like a make or break movie for them. So yeah, that's good. And then last and certainly least, Strangers Chapter 2. So this is the second chapter of like the Strangers trilogy that no one asked for. Literally, no one out there wanted this thing. But someone said, let's do it. And they did. So, with things being wonky, gotta like go back to like fix it. Because I want to show you how like chapter 1 did. Okay. Going back. Okay. Good. So, okay, The Strangers. Okay, this is so weird. Started out as a standalone movie in 2008. Solid hit. Then they made a sequel 10 years later for some reason, which did okay. And then they said, no, it's not enough. We need to reboot it, but not just with one movie, but with 3 movies filmed back to back to back. And it started here, The Strangers Chapter 1, which came out May of last year. And despite the fact this movie was trashed by critics, it somehow made money. I don't know why, but people watched it. Over like 11.8 million, made 35 million domestically, 47 million worldwide. That was I think it was Lionsgate's second biggest movie that year. You know how sad that is? That these numbers are like their second best of the year. Like that shows you how horrible 2024 was for Lionsgate. But yeah, people watched this for some reason. So for them, they're just like, okay, people watch this, they're gonna watch the others. So now we move on to Strangers Chapter 2, which, fun fact, this took the date of Saw 11 before that project just torpedoed and died. So yeah, they were probably hoping this would do like, make some business in like late September, but no. For once, people were smart. The public made the right choice and ignored this movie. So I predicted an opening weekend of like 5 to 6 million and a final total of like 10 to 15. And it opened with 5.8 million. And its legs are weirdly good. I don't get it. I don't understand. This had worse reviews, worse reaction than its predecessor, and yet people, well, the few people who watched it, they didn't just like it didn't crash on the same level as like him. It's so weird. It makes no sense at all. But way fewer people watch this compared to its predecessor, which is good. Very good. But I feel like at this point, I feel like they're gonna release chapter 3 anyway, because why not? Like, wait, what is there to lose? So, but will that do better or worse than chapter 2? I don't. I'm hoping it does worse. I'm hoping chapter 3 makes no money at all, but that won't happen. As much as I wish it would. So, yeah, I mean, compared to its budget, it's not good, but it's so cheap that it'll probably make its money back when it hits like PVOD or something. Shame, because these movies shouldn't exist at all, but what can I do? And that's the end of September. So, yeah, September was a month of like dizzying highs and terrifying lows, as people would say. Started off so strong and then crashed and burned at the end. But it was way better than expected. Last year with Beetlejuice, that people saw, oh, that's going to be difficult to deal with this year. But Conjuring and Demon Slayer were able to, do it. They're able to get the job done. And September this year, it was only like ever so slightly worse than last year. So there's no like major losses, when it comes to box office. Now, October, as it's going on, I should mention, I watched the original Spider-Man trilogy at the end of September. So Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man 2, well, technically Spider-Man 2.1, the special extended version, Spider-Man 3. Watched them all the whole weekend at the time of my life. So, especially watching Spider-Man 3 again, that's one of the most entertaining movies I'll ever watch. And so I've now officially watched every Spider-Man movie in theaters. I am proud of myself for that. So, go me. But, anywho. So, October so far, it's been terrible. Just terrible. Taylor Swift is the only success story of October so far. Everything else, flop. Just nothing's going right. Smashing Machine was a big miss. Tron Ares was a huge miss. Okay, sorry about that little edit there. But yeah, Tron Ares is doing terrible. Kiss the Spider Woman went nowhere. Soul on Fire went nowhere. Roofman might save itself because it's cheap enough. So yeah, October's doing really bad. Black Phone 2, I have hope that will do well. I'm going to watch it because I'm actually excited to see it. I think it could break Blumhouse's losing streak. I'm positive. I am confident that it will. But we'll see. I don't think Good Fortune, I don't know about that. That's a real, real coin toss. Then I don't know what else. Regretting You, maybe that could make some money. Chainsaw Man might make some money, considering Sony's already had like insanely, Demon Slayer was insanely successful. This will not reach Demon Slayer numbers whatsoever, but it might make some money. And then October, the end, obviously Halloween is going to kill the box office. There's a reason why Mortal Kombat 2 left in October, which was a smart move in hindsight because Halloween would have killed it. And, that's how October is doing. At this point, I'm just waiting for November because November, that's when things are going to pop back off again. And then December, too, we have movies like Wicked for Good, Zootopia 2, After Fire and Ash. Those three movies, those are three box office titans right there. Those should, ultimately help 2025 in on a strong note. Especially with Wicked. I mean, that's already had the best advanced ticket sales for 2025. Best day one ticket sales. So, yeah, I think November, December are going to be strong, and we can forget October ever happened. So, yeah. But anywho, yeah, that's it. That's all. Make sure to subscribe, like this video, leave a comment, turn on notifications, share the whole drill. You want to check out more videos like this? I got playlists on the homepage, all previous recap videos I made on the channel. You want to watch, any of the ones I made this year, the past few years, you can go right ahead. There's also, um, yeah, box office predictions where I predict box office for movies. Pretty much every movie I, talked about in this video, I made a prediction video for. So if you want to watch any of those or any other prediction videos I made this year, the past few years, you want to watch any of them, go right ahead. There's also the canceled series. I went over all the movies that were supposed to come out but didn't. You want to watch, binge watch that whole series. There's 250 episodes. You want to binge watch it, go right ahead, see how, well or how, badly those videos have aged. You can go right ahead. But yeah, that's it. That's all. I am out. Goodbye.